Hi everyone, thanks for checking out this video. Okay, so in a couple previous lessons, we talked about ways to have the code check if a condition is true, and then do different things based on if the condition is true or false. So for example, in the last lesson, we talked about while loops, which is basically a loop, that is a block of code that you keep doing as long as a condition is true. And we also talked before about if statements, which is kind of a similar idea, except rather than repeating, it's just a block of code that you do once if a condition is true. And you can also have like else statements to do something else if it's false. But yeah, these are some like basic computer science like fundamental concepts based on these condition checks, like having the code do different things if based on if the condition is true or false. And in today's lesson, we're going to expand on that idea a little bit, and we're going to talk about ways to check combinations of conditions and ways that you can combine condition checks together using these keywords and, or, and not, which are sometimes called Boolean operators, which is a bit of a confusing sounding term. But yeah, we can just think of these as being like keywords that we can use to modify or combine conditions that we're checking. Okay, so I think maybe the easiest way to start explaining is to just show you guys an example. And yeah, this is not very complicated. So I think you guys are gonna be able to grasp it like pretty easily. But yes, let's say we have two numbers. So we have x, which will be 10, and then y, which will be 2. And then let's say we want to check if both of these numbers are greater than 5. So we can say, yeah, for example, maybe we can put this in like an if statement and say if x is greater than 5 and, using this keyword and here, y is greater than 5, then we can print both numbers are greater than 5. Okay, so we can try running this now, and of course it's not going to print this because one of these numbers is not greater than 5. But yeah, I'll just try. You know what? Maybe we can put in else statement just to show you guys that it's going to do the else. So we can say one of the numbers is not greater than 5. Okay, just so that we can see that it's not passing that condition check. Yeah, so pretty simple. We just define two numbers. It checks if x is greater than 5 and if y is greater than 5. And so this combined condition check the whole thing will resolve to true only if both of them are greater than 5, because we're combining them with this and keyword so that the whole thing is true only if both the first one and the second one are both true, basically. So yeah, and just show you guys that it'll work if we try a different number. We can try like y being 7, and then we can try that, and then yeah, now it works. So now it checks if x is greater than 5 and y is greater than 5, and both of them are, so the whole thing becomes true, and it prints out both numbers are greater than 5. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's not very complicated. That covers the and statement. Something else too, we can have more than two conditions. We could have like a z here. Maybe make this like 3 or something. And we could say like and z is greater than 5, and then change this to be like all numbers greater than 5, one of the numbers is not greater than 5. Yeah, so we can have as many conditions combined together like this as we want to, basically. It doesn't have to only be 2. And yeah, still works okay. Yep, so pretty simple, not very confusing. Okay, so the next thing is the or keyword. Yeah, which you guys can probably already guess what it does. You know, I don't need to actually repeat this, but yeah, maybe I'll just comment out some of this code here. But yeah, the or keyword is basically going to check if any of the numbers are greater than 5. So this time, when we're using and, the whole thing was true only if all of these conditions were true. With or, the whole thing is true if any of these conditions are true. It's the first condition or the second condition or the third condition. So I'll change what we're printing out here. So maybe I'll say like at least one of the numbers is greater than 5. And then if this is false, then it'll be that none of the numbers are greater than 5. Okay, so try running it. Yeah, so this time, even though z is not greater than 5, this first line in the if statement, the whole thing is becoming true because all that it requires for this whole thing to be true is for one of these conditions to be true, because we're checking the first condition or the second condition or the third condition, and actually the first and second conditions that we're checking are actually true. So the whole thing becomes true. Yeah, so pretty simple. It's like what it sounds like. And it just checks if both conditions, or if like all of the conditions, if you have more than two, if all of them are true, then the whole thing is true, and then or checks if any of them are true, and if any of them are true, then the whole thing is true. So we also have another thing, this other keyword not that we can use, and for not, rather than combining two or more different conditions, not just modifies the condition we're checking to return the opposite of whether it's true or not, basically. So for not, we can basically say, and I'll comment this out to do this example. So let's say we want to check, like we have some number x, and x will be like 12, and we want to check if x is less than 10. So one way to do that is to just say like if x is less than 10, then we print like x is less than 10, right? So that's like the obvious way to do it, right? But let's say we want to like show off some of our like fancy like Boolean logic programming skills, and we want to like show off how we can do this in like a more complicated way. Although I would not recommend actually doing that. In practice, it's good to have your code be like as simple as possible to get the job done. But if we wanted to show off here, we could write this another way, where instead of checking if x is less than 10, we could say if not x greater than or equal to 10. Whoops, sorry. Greater than or equal to 10. So this is the same as checking if x is less than 10, but instead of checking if x is less than 10, we're checking if x is greater than or equal to 10, and then taking the opposite of whether that's true or false. So this is just another way of checking if x is less than 10 or not. And here it's turning out to be false because it's actually greater than 10. But if we made this like 8 or something, then yeah, it would turn out to be true, and then print. Yeah, so I guess one more thing that I'll show you guys is that besides these like simple examples, these condition checks can be combined together in such a way that things actually become pretty complicated. And this is again one of like the key like foundational concepts in computer science, is this like combining together of like Boolean like logical condition checks, and like using this and or not logic to combine them. And there's actually this is actually its own field of math. So if you guys ever take like a discrete math class, if for example you're studying computer science in college, if you take a class on discrete math, it actually goes into like complicated mathematics of what happens when you combine these like conditions together with like and or and not operators, basically. And it's actually like a field of math that can get like pretty complicated. But yeah, I don't get too much into that today, because I mean the goal of this like tutorial series is to keep it simple, show you guys like how simple and easy programming can be. But just for fun, I'll try out like one last example where we like complicate things a bit. So again, have these like 3 numbers, and show you guys a little bit of a more complicated example. So let's say we want to, like do some kind of complicated condition check here. So we can say like if x is greater than 5, or y is less than or equal to 10. And then this other thing I want to show you guys with this last complicated example is that when we're doing these condition checks, if we just write it straight out like this, it will just get evaluated like in order. So it'll check the first condition and then check the result of that, putting this as the input to this like next condition. So it'll resolve this to either true or false, and then check that true or false, and this third condition. But if we want to get resolved not just in order like that, we can use parentheses to like define the order of operations. So actually, maybe a better way to show that is to say like x is greater than 5, or y is less than 10, and z is maybe equal to 0. Remember, if we want to check if something equals something else, we use these 2 equal signs, so that's also valid to use here. But let's say we want to check them so that we want to check this x greater than 5 first, and if that is true, that's enough for us to pass the condition check. But if that is false, then we want to check this combination of conditions. So to do that, we'll group this together so that it's clear that we're checking like y is less than or equal to 10 and z equals 0. That these are combined together so that this whole thing to pass, it has to either be that this combination of condition checks is true or x is greater than 5. And if one of those things is true, then we'll just print condition check passed. And you know what? Even just to make it like more complicated, we can negate this second condition and require that this be false, basically. Yeah. So yeah, just a complicated example, but I can just run this and show you guys. So for now, it passes. Maybe I'll add an else. And say print condition check failed. And then let's see. So to get it to fail, just for example, make this less than or equal to 5, and then z equals 0. Yeah, so this should be enough for it to fail, I think. Yeah, sometimes you have to, when you get these like complicated checks like this, you have to like kind of wrap your head around like what it's checking. So that's why I showed you guys like with all this like math and stuff. Yeah, sometimes when you get these complicated combinations, it can get pretty confusing, and you have to like kind of wrap your head around what is actually being checked. But yeah, I think this will be enough for this to fail this time, right? Yeah, so this time it fails. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If not, maybe just spend a couple minutes like trying to wrap your head around the logic of everything being checked. But yeah, basically the point of this video, again, just to show you guys that when we're doing these condition checks with like while loops or if statements, we can combine the conditions together with these and, or, and not keywords so that we can check like somewhat complicated combinations of things that we want to check, basically. Yes, that's all I have for you guys for this video. So, thanks for watching, and see you next time.